All right, so here you see we have the front page of the Landa app. You'll see a couple things here right in the beginning. One at the top, you have the account value, which you can double click on, and we will in a minute, but that'll show you all the properties that you own, the number of shares, the purchase price, and the aggregated price. As you move down, you can actually see they've got options to explore by city. And what I've noticed is Landa originally opened with the Atlanta, Georgia market, which was great. There's quite a few properties there. And it says, they've got explore by city coming soon. I haven't seen a lot of updates in other cities outside of Brooklyn and Atlanta. And I have properties in both, so I'll go through that in just a second. When you click on one of these cities, it'll actually show you. And then you can double click on each actual rental. So in this case, if I go, here's one that I own, and you can see it says I have 35 shares. So we'll click on that, and we'll go through that. In this case, you can actually see the address, the number, the square footage. And as you toggle down, you'll see some of the banner at the top start to float. But you get a description, you see the recent updates, whether people have collected rent, maintenance, and then you get down into the economics and the fundamentals of each property, which is where I spend most of my time when I'm evaluating a property. So in this case, you can see the dividend. When you click in this, it'll actually tell you how dividends work if you're unfamiliar with that. I'm not going to go into that in this tutorial. If you click on the total amount of dividends paid per month there, and here's where you get into the nuts and bolts of the actual residence, the actual property. So in this case, you can see the amount of rent that was taken in, the property taxes paid, et cetera, et cetera. And then you'll see the per share rate, which should match up here, which it does. And then you can go down here and actually see the purchase price of the property, what they put into it, where it's located. You can always go here into transactions and see, okay, there was a management fee, property taxes were paid every month, insurance, et cetera. I'm recording this on September 27th, 2022. There has not been rent paid for October yet, so the 15th, and the last time rent was paid was on the 6th. So after this month closes, around the 6th of next month, assuming no late fees, this account will have rent paid, or this property will have rent paid on it. So let's go back to the home page. Down here, you can actually see all the available shares of every property. Some of the ideas that they've curated here, which I do like, is if you're interested in investing in properties with low crime scores, it'll actually you click that and it'll show you. However, this is not all the properties. So in this case, there's 14, 4, and 2, which would be 20 properties. There are more than 20 properties here. So for some reason, this property by category section does not populate all the actual available properties to invest in. So if you wanted to do that, you would have to go into, in this case, Atlanta, which is where the bulk of the properties are. You can then click on the map, or you can literally just start scrolling and saying, looking at the location, and then cross-referencing that on something like a Zillow or Redfin, which I'll get into when we switch back over to the web version. Okay, so let's click over here. So here's my account value, and this is brought together by a couple different metrics. So you have your net deposits, you have the amount of cash sitting in your account. I have a withdrawal out right now, so my cash does say negative, and then you have the number of shares on Landa. So the number of shares in that case, 1,123, would be equal to the amount of property that I own on the platform. So in this case, I have a $500 withdrawal pending. That withdrawal, when it comes out, will still keep my account at 1,120 because that money's in transit. As I move down, you can actually see the property here. You can see I own 2 properties, the number of shares, and then the average return on investment I've received here. So in this case, if I click on this property, again, it kind of takes you back to what we looked at before with that property in Brooklyn. But you can see here the amount of rent I've received, the amount of appreciation on assets that I've received, and then the summation of those together would be your It'll be your total gain. And of course you can move this across and see, back in the summer, I had deposited some money, then I took it out. I've deposited some more just to see what the platform's like, and now I'm going through a withdrawal. If I click over here, you can actually see all the you can see all the activity on the account. What's been put in, what's been taken out, what's been sold. So I actually bought earlier. I actually bought some shares in this residence here in Georgia, and now I'm going through, like I said, a withdrawal here back to my account. And then finally over here, you've got just some account info. So I'm not going to click into any of my personal info here, but you can see you can see the account info if you want to connect to, when you connect different bank accounts, etc. You've got a help section and a document section. And one thing I do want to highlight here is when you go into support and you click on customer support, I've had a pretty good experience. I would say it's been much better than I thought, given how at times slow the platform is. But I will say their support has really stepped up, and I usually get a response within 5 to 10 minutes. So if I go back in here, just as a for instance, and I say deposits, withdrawals, because I do have a withdrawal pending, I'll actually, it uses a chat bot, of course, like everything, but it's been pretty reactive. So, just clicking through, you've got your normal workflow of if this, then that. But if I still need some help, it's very quick to get somebody, on the line that's an actual person. So just wanted to walk through that real quick. I'm going to exit out of that. All right, I'm going to switch back over to the web version, and we'll finish out this demo.